People often ask me in their backyard whether they should grow in a raised bed or whether they should just grow on the flat ground. And so today we've come to Clarksville, to Penny's garden. Hi, Penny.
Hi, Jeff. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I love the way you have a flat garden and you have the raised beds both, and I'd love to hear about your experiences with those things.
Well, I think tomatoes make way more sense on the ground.
Yes.
We like to do them with these cattle panels. One of the things I don't like about growing tomatoes are those cages that are constantly falling over.
Oh, they're always falling over, yes.
So this has been a really good solution for us. So we just let the tomatoes start, put up one side, and as they get a little bit bigger, put the other side.
And you just kind of weave them in?
And just weave them in and out. And they're easy to pick.
Yeah.
It works really well for us.
There's two kinds of tomatoes, the determinate varieties that only get about 3 feet tall and bear all their tomatoes kind of at once, and this would be like a celebrity. But most tomatoes are indeterminate, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. So I could see where in a raised bed, that would just be a mess.
And we have a good example of one of those that came up as a volunteer, so you can see what happens in a raised bed.
Well, I can see how it would be hard to fit this big squash patch in a little raised bed.
Right, we plant these in hills with usually 3 plants per hill. And so you can see what it makes. So I can't imagine fitting this in a raised bed. You'd have to have a king-size bed in order to get this to work for one plant. So this is an obvious choice for the direct in the ground.
Right.
Yeah, plenty of space needed.
Well, Penny, your zucchinis are gorgeous. You like to grow them on the ground rather than in a raised bed?
Absolutely. You can have the difficulty is just keeping them picked every day.
Every day, huh?
Like really, I picked them yesterday and look how big they are already.
Oh my God.
And how to use them, you know?
Yeah.
Zucchini fritters, sauteed zucchini, grilled zucchini, everything.
As the old saying goes, your neighbors are locking their screen doors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You can't give them away fast enough.
And I see you have
Perfect
eggplants on the ground level, but then over here we have peppers up in your beds.
This just seemed to go. I needed just a little bit of space for these. We're not big eggplant eaters. So just had some, sometimes it's not really planning. It's just, oh, I've got 3 plants, here's a spot for them.
Find a space for them.
Yeah, but the peppers, I like having those higher. We use a lot of peppers in the summer. So I like having those in the raised beds. We do have one whole row in the ground too. So it's sometimes not either or, just wherever you've got the space.
I see.
But yeah, I do like having those up a little bit higher in the raised beds.
But the ground in the raised bed looks so dry.
Well, it is, and that's the other problem with the raised bed. And we have actually 2 levels. This isn't quite as bad here, as we'll see at the other one, but it dries out faster. I guess it's got more air going over it and requires a lot more watering than this. This we're able to mulch, and it stays pretty moist. Luckily, we've had a good rain pretty often this year. But we still have to water a little bit more in the raised beds.
Yeah. So there's air getting to the sides and the sun's drying out the soil more.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get volunteers coming up in your raised beds?
Yeah, over here we've got an example of, not sure what kind of, maybe a cantaloupe, that started in the raised bed. Just a volunteer.
So the root is still in the raised bed?
Oh, the root's still in there.
But you moved it so it's out here.
Well, it was taking over the bed. We gently moved it out here so the peppers could survive.
Oh, look at the cantaloupe.
Yeah, there it is, way down in there. Yeah, so it's doing well here. Sometimes you just have to let them grow where they want to grow.
Well, onions particularly like drier soils when they're maturing. Otherwise they get rotty and stuff. And so I noticed that you have your onions and they look beautiful, but they're up here in the raised bed.
Absolutely. We've had great luck with the onions this year, and that seems to be a perfect spot for them.
Yeah. And you grow both the red and white ones?
Red, white, and yellow. Oh. Yeah, most of the yellows were gone. They were in this bed over here.
Oh,
but, yeah, all 3.
Well, Penny, these raised beds look like they'd be really easy on your back.
They are. This is where you want to weed at the end of the day when you're tired from planting in the ground. So it's so easy just to stand here and weed. So that's the beauty of this. This is also where we plant things that I don't want a whole lot of. I don't want a great big row of anything.
I notice a lot of this is your salad stuff. You have radishes.
We call this a salad bar. Absolutely.
Yeah, radishes and carrots and beets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they look really good.
They do. The only difficult part about the raised beds, it's easy on your back, but we spend a lot of time with the hose out here. Yes. We didn't realize when we did this that this was going to be dried out so quickly. So we water nearly every day.
This is porous, and so it dries out.
Yeah. So if we had it to do over, that would be wood or some other material, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So luckily the hose is nearby.
I wonder if you could stucco it or something to that would help?
I don't
keep
know.
moisture in?
Well, that's a thought.
But this bed would then warm up a little quicker in the spring too, get a little planting or a little earlier?
Yeah, before anything else is ready in the garden over here, we've got lots of stuff going here. The cabbage is up quickly, the bok choy, the herbs, everything's up quickly here.
I found in my experience that the fall garden in Tennessee is one of the most productive that we can have. We have such mild October, November, December that with just a little bit of protection, maybe a little bit of that floating row cover on it or something when it's real cold, and we can keep vegetables going all the way until the hard freezes. This setup here is good for that because it is going to be a little warmer than it would be, right against the ground where the cold air sinks. Well, thank you so much for inviting us out to your garden.
Thanks for coming to visit.
It's so beautiful here, Penny.
Thanks very much.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel and like us on Facebook.